Squid Game was an international phenomenon when it dropped in 2021. With the seemingly endless choice of shows among several streaming services nowadays, it isn't often that one show is collectively noticed and talked about by everyone, but the South Korean drama managed to do just that. It definitely had that water cooler effect, where everyone at school, work, etc. chatted about their favorite characters, their favorite games, and that creepy red light green light song. While the concept sounds similar to something like the Hunger Games, Squid Game solidified its own identity thanks to a well-written mystery about this remote island, memorable and relatable characters, the unique aesthetic of each game, and the contrast of people brutally being killed while playing fun, innocent children's games. Season 1 was well-rounded, well-written, intense, dramatic, and even funny at times. While not without some shortcomings, the horrible acting of the VIPs comes to mind, Squid Game had a solid debut season that was self-contained but also opened the door for Season 2. 3 years later, Season 2 is out, and despite the longer time gap dimming some of the hype, it's doing really well, becoming the first show ever to debut at #1 in every single country where Netflix is available. Is Season 2 as great as Season 1? I don't think it is, but I do still think it was compelling, binge-worthy, and it continued the story in a good, logical way. I am going to be talking about spoilers for Season 2 of Squid Game, so if you haven't watched it yet, this is your spoiler warning. I'll start with what I liked about Season 2, starting with the main character. Gi-hoon's character development has been really interesting to watch. In Season 1, he was earnest, naive, and irresponsible, all while still being pretty likable despite his flaws. But winning the games broke him, and instead of enjoying his wealth and connecting with his daughter, he obsesses over finding the island and stopping the games. Despite looking so intense and hardened all throughout Season 2, he still has pure intentions, which is to save as many lives from the games as he can. He uses his knowledge to be a mentor for the other contestants and leads a revolution against the pink soldiers at the very end. This is a far cry from the goofy gambling addict that we see in the very first episode of Season 1. The rock, paper, scissors, and Russian roulette games in the first episode of Season 2 were also really intense. The suave recruiter from the first season acts like a deranged maniac this time around, and his antics were one of the highlights of the season for me. I also have to bring up the Mingle game. While I think the games were overall better in Season 1, Mingle was still a major highlight that forced the characters to test their loyalties and disloyalties. It was the perfect way to stir up tension and drama, all while that cheery song plays in the background. Seriously, I haven't been able to get that song out of my head for days now. The revolution against the pink soldiers was also a pretty exciting twist, and it was very interesting to see who was able to step up in that situation and who ended up giving in to fear. It was good how they built up many of the characters as being ex-military, making the scene much more plausible. This does lead me to my negatives of the season, however, the main one being that it ends with a major cliffhanger. The revolution appears to fail, with the frontman squashing Gi-hoon's plans and killing Jung-jae in front of him. There are still several characters and plot points that haven't been resolved, and it feels much more like a mid-season finale than a season finale. While Season 1 also ended on a cliffhanger, it was still a complete, self-contained story. Season 2, however, is only half of a story, with Season 3 rounding out the series in 2025. I'm also not sure what to think of the frontman. Much like the old man in Season 1, the frontman puts himself into the games as player 001. There were times where he genuinely seemed to want to help Gi-hoon and friends, even killing many of his own pink soldiers in the process. I expect Season 3 to reveal more about where his head was at. It also ruins some of the tension of the big reveal, since the audience was already shown who the frontman was from the beginning. Unlike Season 1, where the old man being the creator caught everybody off guard. As for the games themselves, it's not quite the same when we only get 3 instead of 6. The progression from game to game felt much more intense in Season 1, where the group is whittled down to its final 3 players by the end. And while I liked the Mingle game a lot, the six-legged race didn't do it as much for me. The cheery, jovial tone of the group in this episode doesn't seem to fit the intense, desperate nature of all of the other games. Lastly, I want to go over the side characters. I'm kind of mixed here because I do think most of the side characters in Season 2 were really good, just not quite as good as the ones in Season 1. In Season 1, we get an entire episode to look closely into the lives of Ali, Pickpocket, Sang-woo, and Deok-soo. We're being shown why these characters need to participate in the games, rather than simply being told. In Season 2, the characters do have good backstories and good reasons for being there, but we only know them because of exposition. We don't get that intimate look into their lives the same way we do in Season 1. While I will say that Thanos was a pretty fun and memorable antagonist, he didn't have nearly the same level of intimidation as Deok-su. Also, I'll take this hilarious woman over the shaman lady any day of the week. All in all, I really did enjoy Squid Game Season 2, but it didn't quite have the same impact on me as Season 1. I think a big part of it is knowing all the mysteries this time around. Season 1 felt more like you were going on a journey with Gi-hun and learning all the surprises along with him. But in Season 2, we mostly know how these games operate, so that element of mystery isn't there anymore. I'll definitely be watching Season 3, however, and I do hope it rounds out the show in a satisfying way. But what were your thoughts on Season 2? Were there any characters or games that really stuck out for you? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Ring that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a good one.